This guy wants to break you, humiliate you, stomp you into the ground. Now what are you going to do about it?
If there's anything I think Terry Silver needs to be on is some kind of objective villain skill. He has so many qualities. He has so many great qualities and he has so many villainous qualities. And so, yeah, I'd love to see how he ranks up. I know that you guys have the scale. So you have like all these different categories and then you like numerically rate the character in each of these categories, right?
Yeah, I can give you a quick rundown for people that haven't heard our show, but we do this on every episode that we have that has a typical villain, right? And sometimes we even rank Storms, I think, when we did the Day After Tomorrow, and it broke the scale.
Yeah.
But for our typical villain scale, we've got 4 major categories. It's really their look and their look or style, with their hideout and their lair. So look and style, I guess it's, do they have a ponytail? I mean, that's derivative from Terry Silver. Any accessories? What's their fashion like? Their hideout and their lair. So what are their accommodations? Do they have, some type of, fortress or something like that? What's their plan for domination is the next category. And then we talk a lot about their muscle or their henchmen, or is there a sub boss, for example, like, when you think about Mortal Kombat, you've got Goro versus Shao Kahn. And then we invented recently a bonus category for Ruthlessness, and it's a 1 to 5 scale. And then we add it up out of 20 basically. So, we typically will go through each category, and we can do that if you're open to it.
Well, let's do it. Let's do it for Terry Silver. All right, everyone, get ready. And then in the comments, guys, just put in like how you would rank Terry Silver in all these categories. This will be what we think, and then you just throw in what you think. So yes, let's do it.
I'll throw it to you guys. So I'll ask you both here. So for their look and their style, and you know what I'm going to say, so I'm just going to keep my mouth shut. So I'll ask you both what you think. But he's clearly got a ponytail. But what do you guys give him out of a 1 through 5 for that, and why? Is my question to you both.
I'll let Badway go first.
All right. Well, I was gonna defer to you, but that's fine. So first of all, I mean, it's in the description. Does this person have a ponytail? You check the box. Yes, that's automatic.
That's
points.
great.
So that's a 3 out of 5 already going in.
That's great.
I mean, and then you add to, I mean, making business deals in a bathtub. He made a bath towel look fashionable in the sauna. Holding business meetings, spouting off directives to a secretary in a hot tub. Mm-hmm. Wearing the ridiculous, black coat reminiscent of a Steven Seagal.
The bomber jacket.
Over the top silk karate gi, with big Cobra on the back. I mean, I don't want to give him a 5 because I don't want to give him a 20, but like if he warrants it, overall. But I feel like I'm going to at least give him a 4. I'll let Ken decide whether or not to give him a full 5.
I'm going to tell you guys right now, it's going to be a full 5 for me.
I'm good with that.
Because not only is he obsessed with style, you just see him, obviously he's sparring. When we first see him, he's sparring in a silk Cobra Kai gi. Like even his gi is like silk. And we see him in all these states. So we see him in a tux, we see him, in an ascot later, but
ascot. Yes. I forgot about the ascot.
So he has a great sense of style. Like he's into fashion. Like he knows what looks good. But in addition to that, he has a sense of fashion and style that's geared to manipulate people. I mean, he made his servants come up with a look to make him look poor, remember? To try and con Daniel. And he made them get a beater truck for him, and it's like,
it's my
so he has
thing.
like such an awareness of style and presenting himself, not only to please himself, but to con other people, maybe more so than most any other movie villain. So I'd have to give him a 5.
Yeah. I'm not going to argue.
Yeah. You're right. The ascot was one thing, but then, the fact that, so he had a lineup of beater cars to choose from, and then he landed on that pickup or whatever the heck it was, and then when Daniel sees it, he goes, "Oh man, nice truck!" Like he nailed it.
Yeah.
He nailed it.
Yeah, and how about the phone? He's got the old timey rotary style phone too. He's talking in the bathtub with the cigar.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It was like golden. It almost looked like something you could have gotten out of Buckingham Palace or something like that.
I absolutely say 5, and it sort of bleeds into the next category when you talk about his hideout and his lair, which is sort of has its own style. I mean, he's a fan of, I guess, Mayan architecture or something, right, in the hills. I don't know. I won't speak about the new one. We'll talk about the old movie. But what do you guys think about his hideout and his lair? And do you consider his dojos, all of the ones that he owns, part of that?
Oh, geez.
Yeah, the dojos are part of it, I believe. Ken, you want to start us off on this one? What do you think about a 1 to 5 scale for his
I
lair
mean,
or layers?
like, okay. Yeah, speaking of Karate Kid 3, I mean, God, it's the Ennis house. Like, it's this landmark, historic, Maya-inspired temple, basically.
Yeah.
And it just has all of that, it ties right into his sense of fashion, and maybe the sense of how he sees himself. Maybe he sees himself as some kind of god or aristocrat.
I believe it.
And
Absolutely.
it's just, and when you see it in person, it's like, because of course I've seen it and driven by it. It's on purpose.
Any true fan would, right? Yeah.
Of course. If you see it, especially near like sunset, it's just gleaming. It's just outshines all the other structures like in the hills there. It's
awesome.
It's impressive. And I mean, I'm biased because I love the character, but I'd honestly have to give his lair a 5. Like, I love that lair. It's so tied to who he is. Now, so in the trailer, though, we see that at least what they've shown so far is right. It's like this Malibu type beach house. That's where Kreese goes to meet up with Terry Silver. And so I guess what we don't know yet is that his main house? Did he move out of the Ennis house and go to that house? Or has he always had multiple residences and that's like his beachfront house? Because we don't know how rich he is. I always assumed he probably had multiple properties.
Yeah.
It's probably his Sunday house. It's probably just his Sunday house. Yeah. You nailed it. Just the uniqueness to his sensibilities. They're like, you nailed it. Godlike. He probably does see himself as some sort of god. I mean, even though as season 3 of Cobra Kai showed us that, I mean, he was definitely not that. At what they show in Vietnam, he kind of cultivated that personality over time, and it turned in basically got himself a god complex. But I mean, you nailed everything about the house. But one little touch that I love about his house, and it's not really part of the structure. It's that when he's training, he doesn't train with dummies or punching bags. He has actual humans that he just beats the crap out of. That's his training.
Right.
We speculate that's actually his limo driver in the podcast.
Oh, that's so funny. Well, actually, I'll amend. I would give him a 5, but just to appear objective. Maybe I'll reduce it to 4.5, just for that tub, because I can't imagine anyone of Terry's sense of self having a tub that's small. Like, that's a really small tub. So maybe I'll deduct half a point for the size of the tub.
You know what he needs? He needs, like, if you watch Last Action Hero, when the mob boss is like in the pool, like that should be his tub. He should have had an indoor swimming pool where he takes like a bath, and he's got like all his servants and people in there. He's in there just swimming in the pool. That should be his real bath, and then we could bump it to a 5.
Right, exactly.
It's like it's like Pee Wee, Francis, and he was taking a bath
exactly.
in the pool. Yeah.
Are we going? So are we going half score here? Do you guys want to go 4, or you want to go 5? Or you want to go in the middle?
Do you guys do just round it out to full numbers?
I'm just bad at math today, so it's up to you guys.
We'll go 4. We'll dock the point for the tub. We're very petty on the scale too. I'll dock a point just for the heck of it. So
he didn't have a pool. We'll go 4. You're right. What about their plan? So obviously, his plan is extremely diabolical. I'll turn it to both of you. I mean, maybe Ken, what do you think of the plan? Because it's so outrageous.
Yeah, I mean, this one, it's going to be extremely hard for me not to give him like a 5 or even like a 6 on the scale, because his planning is just key to who he is, just his sense of control. He wants absolute control over every situation, and that involves controlling everyone in a room without them knowing it.
From the moment you met me, I've been making you do things you didn't want to do.
What are you talking about?
What am I talking about?
Yeah, what?
And he has so many different levels to his plans. And it's, I think I said this once before. It's almost like a 3D chess game that everyone doesn't know they're playing.
Oh, yeah.
But he's playing it, and he knows everything about everyone. And he has almost every outcome predetermined. Like, he knows what to do, and he's got everyone in a box. And just that level of control and thought is just, I don't think you normally see that from any villain. Like he's just, yeah. Anyways, Badway, what do you think?
Yeah, it's like I hate to belittle murder like we were doing earlier. He's almost worse than a murderer. I mean, he's talking about pain and suffering and humiliation, on the likes of which 80s villains have never seen.
True.
I mean, he's crazy.
And
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and all this stemmed from John Kreese just walking into his house, handing him the keys, saying, "I'm done here. Sorry,
Right.
I failed." And he turned that failure into no. Not only are you not done, I'm going to avenge your failures.
Miyagi and that punk kid, I'm gonna get them for what they did to you. They made you suffer. So I'm gonna make them suffer and suffer and suffer. And when I think they've suffered enough, then I start with the pain.
Look, Terry, you don't have to do that.
Don't have to. I want to.
And that's where the plan formulated from. I'm like, it's almost like he had weeks, if not months, to plan for this. Like it almost seemed predetermined. It was unprecedented how quickly this plan came together.
Like to see his best friend, his war buddy, roll into his Mayan temple looking like Ron Burgundy out of drinking out of a carton of milk. It's just. It must have like cut him to his core. I mean, this guy saved his life, right? And he told him, anything you need in life, I got your back, man. And we didn't know that at the time when we did this, but how can you not, like, just supporting your friend to that degree? I mean, buying up every dojo in the entire like area.
The day you step off the plane, you're the biggest dojo operator in the valley.
What do you mean? What are you talking about?
I bought 20 locations today. Yours, 100%.
Like, he used all of his resources to scheme and plot, and you said it, Ken, he's like a chess master. He's like 10 steps ahead of everybody, and we joke about it, but I really don't think that there's 80s villains this smart, and it really hurts me to the core that he gets such a bad rap as like a comical, like ridiculous villain. Like he's actually written pretty well when you really step back and look at it. I'm a huge fan, so I'm biased obviously, but it's going to be hard not to give him a 5 here, right, guys? I mean, come on.
Yeah, and not to mention that, like, unlike most of our villain plans, this thing pretty much worked. Up until the very end, I mean, LaRusso ended up winning the tournament, and it was very, very unrealistic in my opinion. But that's okay. That's okay. I mean, the plan worked. I mean, he humiliated him. He got him to turn against his, Mr. Miyagi. Caused them very, very much pain and suffering. The thing worked, so we got to give it credit.
We didn't even touch on the Mike Barnes subplot of this whole thing too, where he's, I mean,
we'll get
think
there.
about that,
We'll
like
get there.
part of the plan, right? So
That's part of the plan.
I don't know.
Yeah. We
We
got Henchmen coming up.
I mean,
I
I don't know what you guys think, but it has to be a 5. I'm sorry, it just has to. I can't. I got to overrule both of you unless you strongly disagree. But you want a 5 too.
I completely agree. I would give him a 5. Yeah.
No, we're going
like
5.
what about his henchmen, right? Because you could.
Right.
We had a debate. Is Kreese actually his henchman? Is he Kreese's like? There's a very fine line of where the hierarchy lies, but obviously Mike Barnes, Karate's bad boy, is clearly a pretty formidable opponent for Daniel, obviously, right? I mean, and the plotting and the plan and the way that connected, he's got to get a really good score on this too. What do you guys think? Ken, like, what do you think?
Well, okay, so for Henchmen, with Terry, how Terry sees himself, I think he sees everyone around him on his side as a henchman. I think he sees as a chess piece that he's moving. So really everyone in Terry's circle. John Kreese, probably Terry would think that John is there and to help him and make him feel better. So maybe he's not quite a henchman, at least in my opinion. But you've got Margaret, his secretary. You have Milos, his butler. Both of them seem to be very competent. They were able to get things for him immediately when he asked, whether it's the magazines, the martial arts magazines.
Yes, sir. Where are the magazines I ordered?
Right here, sir.
Or the beater trucks, or the exact outfit that he needed, the petroleum deals, the Borneo, all that kind of stuff. That's taken care of. So they're great. I mean, we don't see them very much, but then Mike Barnes, of course, is probably the main henchman. You have like his kind of lackeys that have worked for him for a while. You have Snake and Dennis as well. So those are Terry's henchmen. Now, I don't know. It's interesting. Like they're mean and stuff. I guess they fulfill their role. They're kind of like, compared to Mike Barnes, I don't think they're as physically threatening. And it's actually kind of strange. Like initially, not Snake. Dennis is supposed to train Mike Barnes, But it's almost like Mike Barnes is like way better than Dennis. Daniel LaRusso beats Dennis right off the bat, you know. So I mean, they do what they're supposed to do. Mike Barnes is a great henchman. Like he does everything perfectly. Like for Terry, everything. The only time he flinched was at the end of the tournament. You know, that's it. You know, and he lost. He got distracted by Kata. I guess I don't know, but so I don't know. Maybe I would. You know, I might give him a 4 for Henchmen just because I think Snake and Dennis aren't as strong as Mike Barnes and Milos and Margaret.
I agree with that. What do you think, Badway?
I love your distinction between Lackey and Henchmen. It's
a very important one.
What would you call them, Henchmen? Snake and Dennis or lackeys?
No, they're lackeys. That's perfect. It's a perfect term. Yeah. Barnes is like a cyborg, man. Like, yeah. We go off on a whole tangent about Mike Barnes on our episode, and yeah, I feel like, you know, in the end, Silver almost got in his way. I mean, he would have dominated through that tournament had he not gotten LaRusso involved, or even had LaRusso joined the tournament without like the last ditch effort to use the kata at the end there, and very much an all time bully. I mean, we go off on movie villains versus movie bullies, and very much a movie bully. So
I want to, Barnes is interesting to me, but besides Barnes, right? Ken, you mentioned some of the people that were helping him out. I want to talk about what does his company leadership board look like? I mean, that's we got to give him credit. That's even off screen, right? He's got clearly some competent company leadership. He's able to step away from his company duties. Who's second in command here? Who's the chief operating officer, of Dynatox? Right. Yeah. And they're clearly running a media blitz. He's got good PR people. I mean, you made a commercial, Ken, which is amazing.
Right. Well, and I'll tell you something. Just and everyone here, Cobra Kai. That is honestly inspired by exactly what you're talking about. It's like, what about this business side of Terry Silver's company? What is he like? What's the corporate culture like? We don't get it, but we don't get into it too much. But that's kind of the inspiration. That's what I'd be intrigued to know about. Because we've all worked in jobs. Yeah. Like, what would it be like to have Terry Silver as your CEO?
Yeah, what's the town hall like when he's telling everybody about, holiday break and recharge for next year, all the stuff that he's talking about. Is he telling people that? Is he a good CEO? What's his Glassdoor rating? That's what I really want to know.
Right, exactly. Yes.
What kind of score is he getting?
Who's his right-hand man in the boardroom that went to jail for him when everything went down?
To tie it back to Barnes, you said it. I think, if you're going to say a guy gets distracted by a kata. Now, I've never fought in a karate tournament, so I can't say what would happen to me. I'd probably get distracted too. But if he's truly karate's bad boy, he probably shouldn't have gotten distracted by that, especially since it sort of happened in the first one too. I know it was the crane kick, but like all of these things are interconnected. So I think maybe we do have to dock him a point, and I think the lackey is actually, he could have done a little bit better there. So I think maybe we shouldn't give him a 5 here with a perfect score, because there's some deficiencies there, but maybe the off-screen things that are good that we don't see.
Okay, I have to ask you guys this, since we're talking about that moment with Mike Barnes in the tournament.
Yeah.
Do you blame Mike Barnes more for that, or do you blame Terry Silver for that insane plan when Mike Barnes could have won at any moment throughout that whole thing, but Terry Silver dragged it out to sudden death?
Remember the game plan. First you win a point, then you lose a point. Keep the score 0-0. Pulverize him for the full 3 minutes. Then in sudden death, you get the point, we win. I want him to experience pain.
Like, do you place the blame on Terry or Mike Barnes, or equally on both?
Here's my perspective on it. I think I place the blame on Terry because I think he did overcomplicate the whole thing. But was it really about winning at all? If you really take a step back, yeah, they lost and they got a lifetime ban from the tournament until the events of Cobra Kai. But really, it did contribute to his plan because he was toying with Daniel. And yeah, I get it. In the end, Daniel still won, but it almost worked. So I can't knock him too much, I don't know. What do you think, Badway?
In actuality, though, was Daniel injured enough for Terry and John? And the answer was no. So I agree with you. I don't think the main idea was winning. I think he wanted him to go out in a body bag, you know, and I think that's what we're
they did
talking about
lose
here,
in the
you know?
end, and obviously that's crushing to someone of this man's stature's ego. I mean, clearly that's probably worse than not succeeding at other things, and to have this bruised ego when you do think of yourself as a god. Maybe he has paintings of himself like White Goodman from Dodgeball, where he's got him grabbing the bull by the horns. Who knows?
Yep.
I'd like to see what
sense.
his artwork in his house looks like that we didn't see. You know, but no, I think you're right. I do think it was Terry's fault, though, to your point, because he toyed with him too much. But at the same time, I don't know that it mattered if he won. Maybe that's not fair. I don't know.
No, the job wasn't done yet because LaRusso wasn't at hospitalization level yet. So there was still work
man.
to be done.
It was a stretcher match.
So.
That ladder, tables, ladders, and chairs.
I call it a 4 because if your main henchman to a high schooler is an upper echelon bully, then we're good.
Well, it's like was
give it
Mike
a 4.
Barnes in high school at that time too? I've got to be honest.
I'd like to see his birth certificate because I don't believe
it could have been one of those scenarios where it's like you're the guy in high school, you're scared as heck of this upperclassman or whatever, and maybe he's a college guy, so maybe that was intimidating enough. He's 1 year older, he's a freshman in college or something, right? I don't know. It was intimidating, but I agree with you. I think a 4 is probably mostly appropriate, unless you guys disagree.
I would back a 4. Yeah.
Okay. If I recap this for you guys. So actually we should stop. Do we want to give a bonus point for any category or ruthlessness at all? I'll throw it to you both. any bonus points warranted?
Yeah, I feel like a bonus point is definitely warranted just because of who he's fighting against, an elderly Mr. Miyagi and a high school student, which is, you know, the focus of his plan. Yeah.
Any villain who is going to concoct that scheme to make Daniel's knuckles bleed, to make a high school or recently graduated kid's knuckles bleed. I mean, that's pretty ruthless.
Yeah, I mean, the psychological trauma of that, it's going to be and when Daniel talks about he doesn't like, in the current seasons of Cobra Kai, where he's like, he doesn't like to talk about that.
I learned to strike first, strike hard, show no mercy.
You never told me about any of this.
It's not something I'm proud of, Sam.
That's total emotional abuse, and he's totally embarrassed by it. And this is why I love 3 so much. People look at it on surface level of, oh, it's a rehash of the first one, but it really isn't. And it is, but it isn't. And I feel like it went darker, and I just appreciate the movie because of where it went and because of how they took it up a notch. And I think that's what makes it so good. So, you know, I obviously am a huge fan, as you all know, but if I tie it back to the scale, so that means he got, if I recap for everybody, he had 5 for a look and style, 4 for his hideout or his lair, and 5 for his plan, 4 for his henchmen, minus a point there, and then he gets back a bonus point just for how overall diabolical he is and how ruthless. So he might be the highest, besides the Storm from The Day After Tomorrow in our podcast.
Tomorrow got a perfect score.
I think The Day After Tomorrow got a perfect score at our podcast. I think it was.
There's an asterisk. There's an asterisk on it, though.
The hideout and the lair of the storm was the world. So it's, you know, how do you get better than that? But Terry gets a 19 out of 20, and I can't argue with that. And, you know, I don't think anyone would argue with that.
He's the reason why we thought of a villain scale. So. Yeah, it's only appropriate.
And I got to say, thank you, Ken, for letting us do that, because that was a lot of fun, man. I had fun.
This is amazing. Like, thank you for allowing me to participate in this villain scale, and also everyone in the comments. So hopefully, guys, let us know how you would rank Terry Silver in all of these categories in the comments.